feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding from the words I spit. So sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in.
I never thought I'd actually say this, but thank God it's over. What's going on, Rangers fans? My name is Jimmy Fanizzi, and this is From the Blue Seats, a New York Rangers podcast presented by DraftKings. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure you follow us on X and Instagram at BlueSeats94 and use the hashtag BlueSeats to chat with us on any and all topics at hand. Also, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and subscribe on all audio platforms, and be sure to rate us 5 stars. It would mean the world to us. Thank God the season is over. I mean, no, look. In all seriousness, the 24-25 New York Rangers season is in fact over. No playoffs. I mean, if you want to give them credit for at least staying in it until the very end, be my guest. Me personally, I really don't care about that. I mean, if you were to have told me that they would have missed the playoffs this year back in September, I would have said you're crazy. But yet, here we are. At the time of this recording, it's April 18th. We're about 2 days away from Easter. And if you do celebrate Easter out there, happy Easter to all of our fans who listen, or who celebrate, I should say. I hope it's a wonderful holiday for you and your family. But we're 2 days removed. We're 2 days before Easter at the time of this recording, and there's no playoffs for the Rangers. And it's something that I didn't think we would say this year, considering the expectations. But hey, stranger things happen in the NHL. So we're going to do a season wrap-up, basically what we want to see in the offseason, what went wrong. And I actually found a tweet about a month ago that I want to bring to light here from at NYR Fanatic. If you saw it, then you know what I'm talking about. But thankfully, once again, I am not alone for this discussion. He is a regular contributor to the show, the host of Mind Your Pucking Business. He might as well be my co-host at this point. That's how often he's on the show. A very good friend of mine and yours, Mr. Jeffrey Krentzman. Jeffrey, all I can say is, once again, thank God it's over. But in all seriousness, how are things with you, my friend? Good to chat with you.
I am good, Jimmy. It's always good to be with you. Thank you for having me again.
Anytime. You know you're always welcome anytime you want. But let's just dive right into it, man, because the season is over. And on a more serious note, before we get into what went wrong for the Rangers, you know, obviously Sam Rosen is done. And it's just, I was watching that game the other night, and it was just really bittersweet. I mean, I did find it really cool that the final score was 4-0. The warm-up jerseys were 40, and it's Sam Rosen's 40th year. I found that to be really, really cool personally. But in all seriousness, it's just going to be really weird, to say the least, not hearing Sam Rosen's voice anymore. Now, Kenny Albert, I think, is going to do a fantastic job. I listened to him on radio multiple times. I've heard him on national television games. I think he is great. He'll be fine with Joe Micheletti. And I've heard Alex Faust work before. He's pretty good too. He'll be a great backup to Kenny Albert. But it's just going to be really weird not hearing Sam Rosen's voice anymore. So if there's anything I take away from the final game of the year for the Rangers, it's that was all about Sam, deservedly so, and he deserved to be the number one star in that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sam was, I mean, you're younger than me, so if he's the only voice I've ever known for the Rangers, he would be the only voice you would ever know for the Rangers too. So,
Yes.
you know, so many memorable calls. Obviously, there was, you know, the 1994, this one will last a lifetime, which at the moment we didn't know would be true, but yet it is. So, yeah, but I agree with you. I think Kenny Albert is more than sufficient. It's a hard role for anyone to fill, to step into Sam's shoes. I mean, I don't know how you win the fan base over right away. It will be hard to do, but Kenny Albert is ultra talented. He's very good. He's very good on radio. Look, he's got national gigs for NFL on Fox. That should tell you what they think of his skill set right there. So I agree. Kenny Albert long-term will be fine, but there certainly will be an adjustment period.
Yeah, it will be an adjustment period. And not to mention that he also does Major League Baseball and he also does Knick games. He also does basketball. So, and by the way, good luck to the Knicks, as at least MSG will have one playoff team to root for as they get ready for the playoffs. But no, look, you are right. Kenny Albert, yeah, it's gonna be an adjustment period, but if you're a Ranger fan, if you've heard Kenny Albert on the radio for a while, you know how good he is. I'm personally gonna miss the partnership he and Dave Maloney had on the radio. And I don't know how true this is. Now that he is going to MSG full time to replace Sam Rosen, I believe Don LaGreca of ESPN New York is now going to be the main guy on radio with Dave Maloney. And if that's true, then congrats to him. I mean, I've known Don for a little while. I've had him on my side project, The Bottom Line. I've interviewed him a little while back, like 5 years ago, which is amazing how fast time flies. He's a really cool guy. Met him a couple of times. And if anybody's deserving of that radio job, it's Don LaGreca.
Yeah, Don's great. What I think is good about Don, I mean, look, all of them kind of have their own unique things that make them different. I think Don can get very passionate. I mean, you see that with him when he's on the Michael Kay show, which is probably something. Look, it's different than Sam Rosen, right? I mean, you're not going to have Sam Rosen screaming about something, but Don, if he's broadcasting a Ranger game, he certainly will make it interesting. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, go back to game 1 of the Stanley Cup final in 2014 and you'll understand what we're talking about. But anyway, look, just to kind of wrap up the pleasantries here, again, huge congratulations to Sam Rosen on a remarkable career, well-deserved retirement, and he said he'll definitely be around for the centennial next year, so it'll be definitely nice to see him around the Garden again. Just, it's going to be weird not hearing his voice in the future. But with all that being said, Jeff, let's get into what in the hell went wrong with this team, because a lot went wrong. And look, you can point to lack of shooting, which I've complained about all year. You can talk about defense, which I've complained about for a decade, over a decade watching this team. I've been watching this team since 2012, and I'll be honest with you, this is the worst defense I've seen from any Ranger team in my lifetime since I started watching. So you can point to offense, you can point to defense, you can point at coaching, you can point at the GM, you can point to whatever you want. There's plenty of blame all around the Rangers organization right now. But my main focus here is once again going to be on defense. And the reason why I say defense is because they still can't help their goalie. Say what you want about Igor. Yeah, I get it. His numbers were down. He didn't have an Igor-like year, but he still was good enough to help the Rangers win. But what was the problem once again? They couldn't block shots. They couldn't generate traffic in front of the net. And they just turn over the puck way too damn much. I'm so sick of seeing the same pattern over and over and over again. And quite frankly, I'm sure Igor is frustrated about that as well. Now, look, did Jonathan Quick have a Jonathan Quick-like year too? No, he did not. But again, what was the problem? Defense. You can't block shots. You can't generate traffic. It's the same damn thing, no matter who's in net. You could resurrect Gump Worsley from the dead, and this defense couldn't even hold a candle to that. So, look, defensively is still a struggle for me personally. I get crisp, clean scoring chances. I get all that. But for me, it's about defense. Something has to freaking give. You got to help out your goalie eventually. Otherwise, you're not going to win.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you, it doesn't matter how good your goalie is, if you're constantly letting up high quality chances, particularly on odd man rushes, and in areas around the net, Igor can be great and save 9 of 10 of them, which would be exceptional. You're still going to let him in. So I would agree with your assessment. It's the worst defense I've seen this franchise have in a really long time. And what's strange about it, if you think about it, is, Fox has been around now for a while. Lindgren was here for most of the year. K. Andre obviously had a really bad year. But, why the shift with the same personnel? You can kind of understand if maybe the personnel changed or the coaching staff, but the coaching staff and Phil Housley, who runs the defense, was here last year and it wasn't an issue. So what changed there to make such a massive regression on the defensive end is a question that they definitely need to answer.
100%. And look, Phil Housley, I've been clamoring for him to be fired since the middle of the year. I'm now fully convinced that not only is he going to go, but at this point, I'm now fully convinced that Peter Laviolette is going to be fired. Well, the entire coaching staff might as well go, okay? Because for some unknown reason, I am now fully convinced that these players did not want to play for the coach because they just acted like they didn't really care. Almost every single night you saw a team that was old, slow, and lacked any kind of fight. Now, look, the players have to go out there and do their job. I've been saying that for quite a while, but I'm kind of gonna contradict myself here a little bit because coaching's got to be a factor too. And if something in the system that Peter Laviolette's running is not working, especially with his assistants, then I'm sorry. You gotta let him go. I mean, there's no other way to put it here, Jeff.
I would agree with you. Where I may differ is how much of it I put on him. Look, it's easier to change a coach than it is a general manager, and it's easier to change a coach than it is the players.
True.
For some reason, they did not respond to him this year. Do I think that is all 100% on Peter Laviolette? No. And I would be the first one to tell you. I would be the first one to tell you if he did, because I didn't want him to get the job 2 years ago. But I was wrong because he led them to the President's Trophy in the first year. So I can't really sit there and tell you that what I wanted was right, because it wasn't. But I think he needs to go. I don't know how you come back now in the fall and have the same guy delivering the message behind the bench that was here in the spring. And the other thing to me is the comments that he had last week, where he said he doesn't go in the locker room after the game. Now, to me, I'm going to take a different spin on this than most people. It's not a good look, obviously. However, here's my thing. If he wanted to be here next year, you wouldn't say that, okay?
Right.
He's either checked out or he's hoping to get fired, because remember how it works. He's got 1 year left on his deal. If he goes into Chris' office Monday morning and says, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm resigning, he's not getting paid. If he gets fired, he's out of it and he's still getting paid. So it just seems to me like I think a lot of that, I don't think he wants to be here, to be honest. And I don't think he will be here. So I think you're going to get your wish. I would like him to not be here also. I don't want him back. But I also don't put, there's some people that are putting an enormous amount of blame on Peter Laviolette, and I'm not necessarily sure that that's fair. Doesn't mean he's done a good job, but I think he's getting more blame than he deserves. But I'm with you. I do not want him to come back.
No, it's a fair point you bring up. And look, let me clarify by saying I don't want anybody to get fired no matter what they do. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what you do for work. Nobody should ever deserve to get fired. I advocate for everybody to get paid, go out there and do their hard work. But look, if the players are not responding to your system, I don't know what was broken. I really do not know. I'm not behind that bench. I'm not Chris Drury. I'm not a player. I couldn't play hockey to save my life, okay? I am not an athlete whatsoever. But something clearly broke. And look, if it were up to me, I would have fired Peter Laviolette right after that press conference. That would be just me. Now, you can call me crazy for that. I don't care. But look, either way, Peter Laviolette, I'm now fully convinced that he is no longer going to be the coach of the New York Rangers going into the 25-26 season. Now, having said that, let me ask you this. Who would you bring in? Do you bring in a guy like Mike Sullivan if he becomes available? Do you bring back Torts? Because those are the only two names I can think of that are on the table right now. I don't know if Mike Sullivan's going to last in Pittsburgh. So who would you bring in, Jeff?
So I'll give you some inside information that I found out after MYPB. So I haven't even had a chance to report it. I'll put it here first. I was told by someone pretty high up that if Mike Sullivan is let go in Pittsburgh, the Rangers will give the full court press on him. That is that would be. Okay. That would be their number one choice. But like you said, I don't know that he's leaving Pittsburgh, and Crosby likes him, right? And Sidney gets what Sidney wants, as he should. And true. I think Pittsburgh front office knows if we let a guy like this go, there's a high likelihood he's going to New York, who's in our division. So I think that's their first choice. I liked Tortorella, and I love him. I think he's entertaining. I like what he does. This is not a team that needs to be learning how to, block shots and not develop the youth, which is his MO. I don't know that he's the best fit here right now for this group. The other names that are out there, I'll give you a couple. I don't know that I love them. Joel Quenneville comes with a lot of baggage, right? Because of, the scandal that he went through. Someone had said a good point to me the other day with Quenneville that for those that are on his side to get the job, he's also now been out of the league for 4 years, and that doesn't help. The game does change to an extent. The two young names you're going to hear, and you'll hear this guy's name with every coach opening, is David Carl in Denver. He's been a phenomenal coach. Although he is good friends with David Quinn, as is Jay Pandolfo, who coaches at BU. And David Quinn is not going to give you a ringing endorsement to go leave your college cushy gig to go to New York, where the last two coaches that were there lasted only 2 years. So I don't know really where they go if Sullivan is not released. I tend to think that Mike Sullivan's not going to be let go because it probably would have happened already, and you would see signs of it coming, and it's not there. So my top choice would be Sullivan, but I don't think he's going to be available. And then I think what I would say is I don't want to answer the rest of your question because I don't know. You don't know who else is going to be out in the market yet. There could be changes to the market. So it's hard to answer. I would say Sullivan is one. And if I had to give you a second name, I think they need a fresh approach. I really do. I wouldn't mind if they tried a younger voice, like the name. Obviously, they can't get him, but Spencer Carberry, right, who they interviewed. He gave the job to Laviolette. Looking at what he's done in his second year in Washington. So finding that guy would be fine if you wanted to go the assistant route. Jay Leach is a name in Tampa that comes to mind. That's been around. So we'll see where they go. But they've got to get rid of Laviolette first before they even address it.
It's going to be very interesting to see who they bring in. Now, I did come across a tweet or on X, whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it on X anymore. I'm still calling it a tweet. I don't care. But I came across it about I said a month ago in the intro. I made a mistake. It was actually on April 12th from at NYR Fanatic. He was watching, I guess, the post-game or pre-game, whatever it was, on ESPN's coverage of the NHL. And he posted a picture about Mark Messier's plan to fix the Rangers. And this had Ranger fans all in a tizzy because now they're convinced that, they want Mark Messier as the GM or the coach. Now, before we even get to that conversation, let's read just a few of his ideas to fix the Rangers. Number one, he says, identify captain and or a leader. Now, leader, I will agree with. You need somebody like a JT Miller who has stepped in and been a leader. You need somebody like that. If JT Miller can step up and do it again, so be it. I'll gladly take it. Identify a captain, though, that's where I'm kind of sketchy on. Because Jacob Trouba was a captain, traded. Ryan Callahan was a captain, traded. You might as well have the 5 alternate captains again and just name one of them a leader, like JT Miller, for example. I'm kind of sketchy on the whole captain thing, but a leader, that I can attest to.
Yeah, I don't. So I would have told you in the beginning, I'd have to change my answer, that if I said who should the captain be, I would be between Adam Fox or Lafreniere. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure after this year that either of them deserve it.
No.
So I probably, if you put a gun to my head and said you got to name someone captain tomorrow, I probably would say Vincent Trocheck out of the current group. JT Miller's not a bad one. I could live with that. Panarin's not captain material. And as I said that, I thought about some recent news, and then he's definitely not captain material.
No. If you don't know what
Be-
if you don't know what we're talking about, by the way, go check out my latest YouTube short. We're not going to get into all that here because we'd be here for 2 hours. But anyway, continue, Jeff.
yeah, so I would probably say right now, if I had to pick someone at this moment, it would be Trocheck of the group. But you also don't know who's going to be here next year, so you're not really, you're not looking at it knowing who all your options are.
Fair point. He also says create an identity. I like this one because their identity right now is goaltending. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. What is going to be your identity? Are you a high scoring team? Are you a low scoring team who plays lockdown defense? What are you going to be going into next season? I like this one. For me, I know I've harped on their defense a lot, but I'm actually going to lean more towards offense here only because of the fact that how many times have we seen them try the pretty pass and it doesn't work? How many times have we seen them generate a 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 and they decide not to shoot? Does that annoy anybody else but me? I mean, Jeff, I'm sure it annoys you too. We've seen that time and time again, and there's just no identity with this offense right now. For me, I want to see more of a crisp, clean offense that actually knows how to get scoring chances on the net instead of going off the glass, up into the netting and out of play, etc., etc. And please, yes, the pretty pass is nice once in a while, but it's 50-50 for a reason. Because 50-50, it doesn't work. So please, create an identity somewhere, but if it were me, I would go offense as their identity.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue it either way. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I mean, I think when you have a goalie like Igor, in your goal, if you build out from the defense, that's not a bad start, right? But you also need to score. And this team has enough offensive firepower, one would think, maybe not this year included, that if you wanted to create your identity, as you're saying, and do it through your offensive game, you could do so. I think this year, I think you nailed it also with the reluctancy to shoot. Like, go to the game last Monday versus Tampa. It's 0-0 in the first period. Adam Fox comes on a 2-on-1. Instead of shooting it or passing it, he tries to spin around a move and loses it, and they come the other way and score. Things like that. There's so many things this year that have happened. Like, when you look at it and you put it all together, you almost think that it's a weird collection that you have all these examples, but it's just been the way it's been.
Yeah, it's really, really frustrating to see how they just don't generate any offense. It's a joke. But if it were me, I would create a new offensive identity. Defense, I've harped on it enough. Offense needs to get ramped up. Messier also said, define a nucleus to drive culture, push youth into more important roles, which I 100% agree with because the kids deserve to play more, and body language. The body language one is interesting to me out of the three of those I just named. Now, I get it. You need to do culture there. The kids need more playing time. I get all that. But the body language is the one that intrigues me the most. Their body language all year long was absent. Absent. There was virtually no emotion, no fight, no passion, no care. There was no body language at all. Even from Peter Laviolette, who looked like he didn't even want to be there. So look, body language, that's a huge thing because that's going to be the thing that actually drives a new culture. What's going to motivate the young kids. So yeah, I agree. Body language has to be fixed. 100%.
Body language has been terrible all year. Last year, they looked like they were having fun. They were smiling. They were happy. They look miserable this year. Like they don't want to be there. Body language is a culture thing. I mean, that changes also if you have leadership. It changes if you're paying attention to the voice behind the bench or even up in the general manager's box. But yes, body language, you cannot win games when you look miserable. I mean, you just can't.
No, you can't. And they, again, like I said, they've looked lifeless, miserable, and not they didn't care almost every night. It was just really really frustrating to watch. Now, to sort of wrap up this discussion here, and we're going to get into round one playoff picks in just a moment here. What do you want to see from the Rangers this offseason? Now, I know what fans want to see. I'm seeing a lot of fans on Twitter based on that tweet from NYR Fanatic. They want Messier as either the GM or the coach. That's a pipe dream, people. It's not happening. As much as it would be wonderful, somebody who knows the Rangers organization, who helped them win a championship, it ain't happening. It's not happening. I'm sorry. Now, look, what needs to happen this offseason? A lot needs to happen. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Rangers approach everything. Number one, I think Peter Laviolette and his coaching staff are done. They're out of here. Now, again, we talked about earlier, do you bring in Mike Sullivan or Torts? If it were me, if Sullivan doesn't last in Pittsburgh, I would bring him in at least for an interview. He would be my choice for head coach if he becomes available, but it'll be interesting there. That's number one. Number two, you need somebody who is going to step up and be a true leader on this team. Me personally, I don't care about captaincy. I don't care. You want to name Vincent Trocheck captain? You want to name JT Miller captain? Hey, I'm okay with either or. But as far as I'm concerned, you just need somebody to step up and be a leader. And to me, JT Miller is that guy, and I will eat my words on that trade. I was dead wrong. I didn't want him back because of the locker room issues in Vancouver. He has been terrific ever since he came back. And he is the guy that I want as the designated leader. You want to name him captain? Go nuts. Be my guest. I'll live with it. But as of right now, I want him as the leader. You need a new offensive identity. You need a new defensive identity. You need everything. I'm not going to say this is going to be a complete rebuild. This is more of like a retool. Now, am I saying that we're going to have the same exact season next year? No, I don't expect that at all. And if we do, we have a serious problem. But the three main things I want to see this offseason are a new coaching regime, a new offensive identity, and a new leader. That's what I want to see. What about you, Jeff?
I think you'll get the first one. I think you'll get a new coaching regime. If you change the coach, you're going to have a new identity, right? You're not going to go hire a coach who has the same identity. So you're going to get the second. Now, whether that's an offensive-minded approach first and foremost in the identity, that I don't know. That depends who they hired. And then a leader, you know what? It's not the Ranger way lately to do that. I don't know that they will get a captain, because here's the other thing. If they're gonna do that, which is not what they normally do, you would think there would be a clear-cut answer as to who that person would be. Now, your choice of JT Miller is fine, Vincent Trocheck is fine, but neither of them are an overwhelmingly positive candidate that would have 98% of the vote, right? Be unanimous.
True.
So I don't know that they will. And if they do, it's certainly not something that happens till training camp anyway. And by then, you know who your coach is. And by knowing who your coach is, you can answer your second question, Jimmy, which is, what is your identity most likely going to be for the season?
Fair enough to me. Now, last thing here before we get into playoff talk. What the hell do you do about Kreider or Zibby? Because to me, one of them is gone. And to me, I hate to say it, but that somebody is Chris Kreider. It's going to be, I know what some people are going to say to me. If they can buy out Henrik Lundqvist, they can buy out Mika Zibanejad. That may be true. But Zibanejad has said he has no desire to go anywhere. And quite frankly, I believe him. And you know what? People are going to call me nuts for this, and I don't care. I would give Zibanejad one last chance to redeem himself. If he has the same exact year he did last year, then I would say, you know what? Let's try to buy him out. I would give him one more chance. To me, Chris Kreider, I understand he's been a great Ranger for 13 years. He is, I believe he's tied for the franchise record in power play goals, which is tremendous. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is helping your team go out there and win a championship. And Chris Kreider has been the sole focus of that, and he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. I know Ranger fans have been harping on him all year, and I think that Chris Kreider is the one that ultimately is going to be shown the door. As much as I don't want to see it, unfortunately for me, I think it's Chris Kreider more so to go than Zibby. What about you?
It has to be. Whether it should or shouldn't, Mika has a no-move clause, and he's already said he's not going to move it. He's planning on being here. So I could sit here and make arguments, which I could do, of why they should trade Mika Zibanejad or why they shouldn't. And if I take the side that says, here's why they should, it doesn't even matter. He has a no-move clause. So, if he stands by what he says, I'm not going to move, there's your answer. He's not going to move. You're not going to buy out that contract with that term left on the deal, right? You would do that if a guy has regressed to a point where they can't skate. Now, he's regressed. He's had a bad year. But he hasn't regressed to the point where he can't – you buy out a contract like that. So he'll be back. I do think Kreider is gone, and I'm fine with it. I've never even in his prime years, I've never been as big on the Chris Kreider train as others have. I just never have been. It's nothing against him per se. I just have never been, gung-ho about Chris Kreider. And I think the year you saw him have and the steep regression, if you can get rid of him, even it's a kind of thing where it's addition by subtraction, right? You take someone else younger. We all scream that the kids need to play more. Well, if you get rid of Chris Kreider, it opens up a spot for someone else to play more, right? Give Lafreniere, more ice time. Not that he's necessarily deserved it, but give it to a younger person. But I do tend to agree with you. I do think Chris Kreider won't be here next year.
Yeah, I mean, again, as much as I would hate to see it happen, he has to be the one that has to go. Make room for the young kids. Let the young kids play more. That's pretty much the bottom line. But a lot needs to happen for the Rangers this offseason. Let's hear from you. What do you want to see for the Rangers this offseason? Let us know on X and Instagram at BlueSeats94. Use hashtag BlueSeats. Or if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below. That helps us out as well. Coming up next, we are going to make our predictions for round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. And here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
All right, we are back on a more positive note, people. Even though the Rangers aren't in it, the Stanley Cup playoffs are here. And I'm still really excited because we got some really intriguing matchups here. And Jeffrey, I want to start in the Western Conference because to me, this is where things get really interesting because you got, first of all, the Blues versus the Jets. And by the way, we're going to make our round 1 predictions right here, right now. We want to hear yours as well at BlueSeats94, X and Instagram, and also in the comments on YouTube. Want to hear your predictions as well. St. Louis versus the Jets. The Jets are the winningest team in the NHL. They won the President's Trophy. Congrats to them. I don't know about any President's Trophy curse or anything like that, but hey, good for them. They're in the playoffs. The St. Louis Blues, though, are very intriguing. They were the hottest team at the end of the year. What did they win, like 12 straight games toward the end of the year? and now they're facing the winningest team in the NHL and the Winnipeg Jets. This St. Louis Blues team is interesting to me, led by Jordan Kyrou, who's had a tremendous year. Their goaltending's been stellar. It may be just me. I know Connor Hellebuyck is going to do his thing. I have no issues with him. Just for some unknown reason, I don't trust this Jets team outside of Connor Hellebuyck. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their offense, which has been lethal. I get that. But something tells me that come playoff time, it's going to sputter. That's just me. But I still think it's going to be a competitive series no matter how you slice it. And I'll be honest, I got to go in 7 games. And I'm going with the hot one. I'm going with the St. Louis Blues in 7.
So the Blues have a massive coaching advantage there. Jim Montgomery versus Scott Arniel. I mean, we like Scott Arniel. He used to coach here in New York as an assistant under AV. But I'm gonna go with the Jets because if there's one advantage in playoffs you want, it's goaltending. And Hellebuyck is definitely the better goalie. The Blues have been hot. I'm going to go with the Jets in 6. I think the Blues could win the series. I don't think, like last year, the President's Trophy Rangers played the Caps and nobody in their right mind picked the Caps. But I think if you pick the Blues like you're doing, Jimmy, I think it's understandable. But I think the Jets survive that series in 6.
So Jets in 6 for Jeff. I have the Blues in 7. Avs and Stars. This one's going to be really fun to watch because, first of all, on a positive note for the Avs, it's wonderful to see Gabriel Landeskog again. I mean, he played for the Colorado Eagles, his first professional game in nearly 2 or 3 years. He got a standing ovation, and now it's more than likely looking like he's going to join them at least later on in round 1 of the playoffs. And it's just a feel-good story. He's been dealing with a lot of knee issues over the past few years. So good for Gabriel Landeskog. I can't wait to see him back on the ice. But the Stars don't have Miro Heiskanen. That's going to be a big problem for me personally, but Tyler Seguin is back. And Tyler Seguin is a lethal weapon. To me, yes, the Avs are a terrific team, but to me, Dallas is the more complete team, especially when it comes to the guy in goal, Jake Ottinger. I think their offense is great. So because of that, I got Dallas winning the series over the Avs in 6.
I have Dallas in 7. That series is incredible. The two of the top 3 odds for teams to win the Cup are Dallas, and Dallas is 1, Colorado's 3, and they got to play in the first round. So let that speak to what's wrong with the NHL playoff format right now. Honestly, I think whoever wins that series is an incredible shot to go out of the West for sure. I like Dallas in 7. I think Colorado can again. I mean, Colorado. That's also almost a toss-em series, but I like Dallas with the home ice. I think Dallas has eventually they've got to break through and take the next step, and I think this is where they do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great series no matter how you slice it. But we both have the Stars, but you have them in 7. I have them in 6. Vegas versus Minnesota. Marc-Andre Fleury in his last year goes up against his old team. My, oh my, how intriguing as hell. At least I hope he plays in the playoffs, which he should. Anyway, look, this one's easy for me. I think this is going to be a competitive series as well. I have Vegas in 6. I mean, I initially had Vegas in 7, but to me, Vegas is just way more of a threat as the complete team than Minnesota is. I mean, look, who do you have? Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello. I mean, even though he's at the tail end of his career, and God, do I miss him. But look, for me, this one's easy. I trust Vegas more than I trust Minnesota. I got Vegas in 6.
So, I don't know. We don't know the West like we do the East, right? And so I'm going to use that as a disclaimer here before I say what I'm about to say, because I could be wrong. It just hasn't appeared to me this year that Vegas has gotten like in a groove. Like I don't know at any point of the season where they were on autopilot, like sometimes they've been cruising. I think Minnesota with Fleury, I think Minnesota can play with some of the top teams. They've had some success. Now, they also lost to the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils all in the same week 2 weeks ago, and they can not be. I don't know why I am picking the Wild here. As soon as I saw that matchup, I said the Wild. So I'm taking the Wild in 7.
Wild in 7. Ooh, I like that. Okay, going a little bit bold there. I like that. So I got Vegas in 6. You got Wild and you said 7?
Yes.
Okay, 7. Beautiful. And last but not least in the West, we got Kings and Oilers. Again, another easy one for me. Kings in 6. Because at least the Kings have more of an offensive identity than the Oilers do. The Oilers, I've said it over and over again. They have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and that's it. That's their identity. The Kings have at least more of a complete team. They have goaltending. I definitely trust the Kings goaltending more than I trust Stuart Skinner. No offense to him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Heck, I get it. He led them to the final that one year. 100% get all that. But it's just McDavid and Draisaitl and nobody else. Kings in 6.
I would agree with you. I think Kings are not getting enough respect. I think Edmonton also playing in the Cup Finals, going to 7 games last year. That's a lot of hockey that they've been playing in the playoffs. Got to catch up with them. I'm on board with the Kings in 6.
Beautiful. So we both agree there. All right, let's go to what we know best. The East. Let's start with Devils versus the Hurricanes. I wanted to start off with this one because, again, it's a rival team and, well, 2 rival teams. And quite frankly, I don't think either of us want to see any team advance, but unfortunately, somebody has to. And for me, it's the Carolina Hurricanes. You know, the Devils, they've been limping into these playoffs. They've been struggling for the past 2 weeks, and they don't have Jack Hughes, which I think is a massive problem. Their goaltending's been questionable. Their defense has been lackluster. I don't know what's going on with their goaltending lately, but it's been really, really suspect. And Carolina, they're always a pest in the playoffs, no matter who they play, especially the Rangers. So for me, I'm gonna go with the more healthier team, the team with the most experience, especially when it comes to the goaltending side of things. I got Carolina in 6.
So I'm going to make sure that I am objective here because I can't stand the Devils. I think for really the reasons you mentioned, it's hard to pick the Devils. I like they don't have Jack Hughes. Dougie Hamilton, if he plays, is not 100%. They have not had an answer in goaltending. They just lost last week to Pittsburgh and the Islanders at home in back-to-back games and looked terrible. I don't love Carolina like I have in previous years, but I think they're definitely good enough to get past the Devils here. I'm going to say Carolina in 6, and I would not be surprised if that series was even shorter in 5 games.
Yeah. It's funny. I was leaning toward Canes in 5, but I'm going to show a little bit more respect than that. So give me 6 games for the Carolina Hurricanes. Montreal versus the Caps. Now, I'll be honest with you, Jeff. I went back and forth on this series. You know, Montreal made it on the last day of the year. Well, actually, no, not the last day of the year. The second to last day of the season, by which they did. Columbus was officially eliminated. I feel bad for the Blue Jackets. You know, it certainly was. There was some magic in that team. They definitely played inspired for Johnny Gaudreau. I would not be surprised if they're fighting for a wild card spot again next year. But I digress there. Montreal makes it. Bell Center's going nuts. Capitals, to the surprise of everybody, won the Metro Division. And if you would have told me that the Capitals would be fighting for the Metro, I would have said, you're nuts. There was no chance. Ovi broke the scoring record. And again, congratulations to him on an amazing accomplishment. First ballot Hall of Famer in my book. No questions asked. And as much as I like to joke about the Caps' playoff history, despite the fact that they finally won a Stanley Cup in 2018 against Vegas, I really don't trust Montreal in this series at all, but I will give them a fair shake. Montreal's a young, up-and-coming team. They're going to fight with the Caps, but for me, I think Ovi and the Caps move on in 6.
Yeah, all the pressure here is on Washington, right? Montreal comes in, not expected to be there. They could get swept. It's still in some ways a positive season for them in their rebuild up there with Jeff Gordon. But it's hard to take Montreal, and Montreal has played so bad the last week. I mean, They had so many chances to wrap up that last spot. It came down to the last game in the third period versus Carolina the other night to get there. I don't love Washington like some people do. I don't trust their goaltending, but they are still so much better than Montreal. I'm going to say Caps in 5.
Wow, Caps at 5. Okay. Okay, yeah. You're giving no faith to Montreal whatsoever. All right. No, listen, I understand where you're coming from. Again, like the Devils, they've been struggling coming into the playoffs. So I get where you're coming from. But again, for me, I'm just going to show a little bit more respect than that. I got the Caps in 6. Tampa Bay versus the defending Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched much of the Tampa Bay Lightning other than when they played the Rangers. I've watched mainly more of the Florida Panthers, and I gotta tell you something. For me, Florida's gonna still be a massive problem in these playoffs. I mean, I get it. You don't have Matthew Tkachuk. He's still hurt, but even still, Brad Marchand coming there, that's going to be a big factor. Sam Reinhart is an absolute problem. Sam Bennett is a problem. Sergei Bobrovsky has been amazing. This Florida team, they're complete. They're ready to go. And quite frankly, they're one of my favorites to repeat. I really think they have a good shot to repeat. So, and with Tampa Bay, outside of Jake Gensel, you don't have Steven Stamkos anymore. He went to Nashville and he had a disappointing season there. Yeah, you have Braden Point. You still have Kucherov. I get it. But I really trust Florida more than I trust Tampa Bay. And this might be one of my bolder takes, but I'm taking Florida in 5. I really don't trust Tampa Bay all that much. Give me the Panthers in 5.
So I'm going to go the opposite here. I think Florida 2 years ago made the Cup and lost. Last year they made the Cup and won. Eventually, there is always a thing where you see teams that go deep into playoffs. It catches up with them in a certain year as they played a lot of hockey. The Tkachuk thing hurts them. I think people are sleeping on Tampa. I really do. I think it's a great series. It is not one-sided either way. I'm going to go Tampa in 7 because they have home ice.
Wow. All right, Tampa and 7. Hey, if they can pull that off, great. I will have no issue with that if Tampa Bay wins the series, even though I don't hate them. I dislike them, but I don't hate them. But look, I just don't trust them in these playoffs. With no Steven Stamkos, no go for me. Florida in 5. Now, this is also one I was back and forth on. I'll be honest. Toronto and Ottawa. And why was I back and forth on this? Because on one hand, Toronto's playoff record, as we all know, has been terrible. Despite the fact that they actually won a playoff series a couple of years ago. Do you really trust them all that much? And with Ottawa's been pesky all year. Brady Tkachuk, Drake Batherson, the goaltending's been great. Ottawa's a young team. They're pesky. They're fast. I've never seen a team more fast than I've seen the Ottawa Senators. So, this one, look, Steve Dangle's probably going to hate me for this. Senators in 6. Until Toronto can prove to me that they can win another playoff series, I will refuse to pick them again. Senators in 6.
I think this is more of a must-watch series than people are saying, just because it's 2 Canadian teams going at it, right? Okay. So people are forgetting that angle. Toronto is talented. The issue it has been for 2 years, for a long time, has been the coach, and it's been the goaltending. They have not really fixed the goaltending, but they've definitely upgraded the coach from Sheldon Keefe to Craig Berube, who's won a cup in St. Louis. Craig Berube is a massive coaching advantage over Travis Green, for sure, and experience. And I think that Ottawa, while they will be loose, they don't have a ton of playoff experience. Tavares, Austin Matthews, even though they haven't had a lot of success in the playoffs, they have been there. I like the Maple Leafs in 6. And I think the Maple Leafs win this series. And if they don't, and they finish first in the Atlantic, and you've now changed your coach again and are stuck in the first round versus a painful opponent, because you would deal with it with your neighbors in Ottawa, it's going to be a long summer in Toronto like it is in New York.
So you are picking Toronto to win this series. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. If they do it, I will come on these airwaves and apologize to the Toronto Maple Leafs and that organization, because that's how much I don't trust them. I just don't. I'm sorry. Look, I get it. They're competitive every single year. They're competing for the Atlantic. Austin Matthews is doing his thing. I get it. But I don't know what it is about the playoffs that they just fall flat every single year. They haven't won a damn thing since 1967, for crying out loud. When is it going to change? I don't know. But until that time comes, I refuse to pick Toronto because I don't trust them that much. So, look, if people are picking Toronto, hey, go ahead and pick Toronto. I don't care. Look, I'll honestly be shocked if they win this series. Shocked. Do I think it'll be competitive? Yes, I do. But I trust the Senators way more than I trust Toronto for some reason, because I think they're faster than Toronto is. They're younger. I get the inexperienced part, Jeff, but again, for me, I just think that they're gonna match up to Toronto's playing style, and that I think they're gonna take it home in 6. I really, really do. And like you said, if Toronto doesn't win this series, do you start all over again? I mean, what do? It's year after year of recycling coaches and you don't get it done. What do you do if you lose this series?
Yeah, I don't know. I it's just they're in a rut where they can't get it. They can't get out of the holding pattern they're in and advance.
I don't get it, man. I really, really don't get it. But those are our picks. What are your picks for round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs? Let us know on X and Instagram at BlueSeats94 and use the hashtag BlueSeats to chat with us. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below. And while you're here, hit that like button as well and subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified of all episodes that air. Jeff, before we wrap things up, as usual, where can people find out more about your show and where they can find you on social media?
Sure. Mind Your Pucking Business, all one word, at Mind Your Pucking Business. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place. So you should be able to find us if you need it. And thank you, as always, Jimmy, for having me. It's always a blast, and we'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, Jeff. You are welcome back whenever you wish. Jeffrey Krentzman of Mind Your Pucking Business. Go subscribe to Mind Your Pucking Business. I will leave a link down below in the description. That is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you like what you saw, like and subscribe. Drop a comment. Follow us on social media at BlueSeats94. We want to hear from you. What do you want to see from the Rangers this offseason? And let us know your picks from round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. They're here, baby. Get excited because crazy things are about to happen. Alongside Jeffrey Krentzman, my name is Jimmy. This is From the Blue Seats, a New York Rangers podcast. For one final time, at least from a Rangers standpoint, go Blue Shirts, and we will certainly still enjoy the playoffs. We'll catch you in the next episode. Peace!